Fine. Yeah, I just had to plug in my phone. My battery was going
Oh, no problem.
and it's beeping, so that's why I wasn't sure what you had said there.
Yeah.
So the thing is, so I've submitted that form, that information concerning a lawyer form, and so it says pursuant to Section 78(3) of the Legal Profession Act, this information concerning a lawyer form is private and confidential. And it says that I acknowledge that by submitting this form, I am giving my consent to the Law Society of Alberta to gather all information necessary to address my concerns. The personal information collected in this form will be used by the Law Society of Alberta for one or more purposes. The information may be used or disclosed by the Law Society of Alberta now or in the future. And so then, of course, it says if you have any questions about the collection, use, or disclosure of this information, please contact the Law Society of Alberta Information Privacy Officer at 1-800-661-9003. So now I have a letter from Linda Threet, the Information Assessment Counsel, to that lawyer. And so that letter says, pursuant to Section 78(3) of the Legal Profession Act, this material is confidential and provided to you only for the Law Society process. The material and information it contains may not be used in any other proceeding or for any collateral purpose without consent or court order. So, so my question is, whose consent does the word consent refer to?
It's under the Law Society. I'm just let me find the document so I'm making sure I'm reading the same one. That's on the ICAL. Oh, you're referring to the letter that you got.
Right.
Then the 3 cent. What's the date on the letter? Let me pull it up.
Okay, so that is from, let's see, it's, where's that date? Oh, November 21st of 2018.
November 21st, 2018. And obviously that was a letter to Mr. Taylor, right?
Yes.
Let me pull it up here just so we're both looking at the same thing.
Okay.
Take me a second here because I already typed with 2 fingers.
Okay. I guess I wasn't sure whether I should email you with this information.
Oh, no, it's fine. We may have to do that later. I'm just trying. Let me see if I can find out what the letter is here first, and then.
Okay.
So again, it is November 21st. Or November 21st, yeah. Yeah, a letter to the lawyer. Let's print it off here.
Yeah, it was funny. I was just like in the middle of typing up an email when you called, so.
Yeah. So the consent would be without consent of the material is confidential, the consent of the Law Society, so.
Sorry?
It's referring to without consent or court order, so obviously the court order would supersede that there, but the consent it's referring to is without the consent of the Law Society.
Okay, so the Law Society could give the lawyer consent to use the material.
It could, but the process it would be a process for that, but that's what it's inferring, but I don't know where it happened, but yeah, that's the inference there, yeah.
Okay, I thought that it would be the consent of the source, just because, because it's the information that I've submitted.
So, like I said, I'm not familiar if that has happened, but typically when the Law Society would give consent, they would be confirming it with the source too, or consideration. But I think in the form that you gave, it said that it may be used as part of the investigation. But yeah, typically that's what may happen. So.
Okay.
So was there I guess to help me out there, was there an issue or what's the?
Well, I guess I was kind of wondering. Well, because so the lawyer got a court order to use the information. So obviously then he didn't get consent from the Law Society to use the information because he went to court to get a court order to use the information.
Yeah, so that would infer that he didn't get consent. You're correct.
Right. And I was kind of curious, is there like, I mean, if the lawyer, or no, if the Law Society was going to give the lawyer consent, would the Law Society have to ask for my consent to use the information, or is it pretty unilateral?
I guess it's depending upon what information we're referring to. So if it's information that we collected that's not from you, so it's not. I don't think there's just a blanket answer to that. So it's going to depend upon what the information is. So.
Well, I guess the way I read the letter is that it says you will find attached the information concerning a lawyer form and other materials that Mr. Perniak submitted on November 19, 2018, and then it says, pursuant to Section 78.3 of the Legal Profession Act, this material is confidential and provided to you only for the Law Society process. So the material is the material that I submitted on November 19, 2018. So I guess. So I guess that's the thing is, wouldn't I have to give consent to use the material, since it's my material?
Then that may be the case. Again, it depends upon what the material is, and sometimes in the forms there's a checkbox there is. I'm just looking through the box here now, but usually there is. Can this be released to the lawyer? So I just have to find the box there. So you may have already.
Okay. Right. So, like, yeah, there isn't a checkbox, but it does say, let's see. Yeah, it says, please be aware that a copy of this form and any enclosures may be sent to the lawyer you are providing information about. So,
right.
So it says that it may be sent to the lawyer you're providing information about, but then in the letter it says, this material must not be used in any other proceeding without consent or court order. So it kind of. I guess
I'll back up a little bit. So are you of the opinion that it was used, or you say you got a court order? So I'm just trying to figure out what the issue is. So help me there.
Okay. So he got a court order to use the information, but the thing is that he didn't. Like, I don't know whether, like, I know that he didn't ask me for consent, and I was reading the document, and I was kind of thinking that he would have had to have got my consent, and so I was trying to figure out why he got a court order when he could have got consent from me to use it, and, like, so he didn't ask for my consent, and I was trying to figure that out, whether consent is my consent.
There's no blanket answer to it. Obviously, I think out of a protocol of respect, they would ask you for your consent if they intended to use it for any other purpose. I'm not so sure we've ever done that, but like I said, I can check into that.
Okay. Well, I guess that's just kind of. I mean, just it's kind of just. It just seems to me, just based on the way the form, like the original material, right? So the information concerning a lawyer form, the way it's written, it sounds to me like I'm giving my consent to use my information, right? And it says the personal information collected in this form will be used by the Law Society, and the information may be used or disclosed by the Law Society. So I'm giving my consent to the Law Society for this information, the information that I'm submitting, and so the letter from the Law Society to the lawyer says, without consent or court order, and so I kind of think if the Law Society meant for it to be without consent of the Law Society, it would have said without consent of the Law Society. Like, I think it's.
No, because I think you've answered the question. I think what we've been discussing, because it's going to depend upon the context of the circumstances. So, in some cases, it may involve or necessitate consent from both the author and from the Law Society. So that's probably why it's written that way. I can go find out why they wrote it that way. I didn't write the document, obviously, but I think that would be the simplistic and the most reasonable answer is that there are situations where it would entail the consent of both, like in this case, yourself, the author, and the Law Society.
Right. And I think
which would make sense, and that would be the appropriate thing to do in many circumstances.
Yeah, I think, and see, I'm in agreement with you that it would make sense if the Law Society was going to give consent, that they would, ask for my consent to use the material, right? I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's my information, like it's my information that I'm submitting on this form, and so it would make sense that if the Law Society was going to give consent to the lawyer to use the material, that they would have to get my consent to use the material.
That's what makes sense. I can confirm that for you if you want.
Okay, and I guess the thing is, like I'm pretty sure that I know the answer to this question, but that the letter is probably pretty generic, right? Like, in other words, that statement in pursuant to 78(3) of the Legal Profession Act, this material is confidential and provided to you for the Law Society process. The material and information it contains must not be used in any other proceeding or any collateral purpose without consent or court order. That's like a pretty, like, it's almost a form letter. Am I like, it's not very specific.
You'd be correct. That's what they refer to as a boilerplate statement that we would send out to all such letters.
Right, exactly, and that makes sense. So
yes.
I would really actually appreciate some clarification on that, because
Can you hold on for a second?
Sure, or you could send me an email if you
sure,
like.
I'll look into it and I'll send you an email.
Okay.
Is that the only issue? That's the main concern?
Yeah, that was pretty much it, because I just wanted to know,
Sure. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So he got an order to obtain it. Did you get a copy of the order or the information to obtain the order?
No, I don't have anything in writing.
That may tell you the process he had to go through, or if he had made a request to get it, and then we would have turned him down. That's why you had to get a court order. So.
Right, exactly, and there was no documentation regarding that, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one of the things that made me question this, is the fact that none of this was in writing, and so I wasn't sure if he had asked for consent and not got it, or if he had simply decided not to ask for consent. And that's why I thought, if the Law Society, if the Law Society were to give him consent, that the Law Society would have to ask for my consent to do that. Because so.
Let me find the answer to that question. I'll get back to you.
Okay. Well, so and yes, email would be fine.
Okay, that'll be great.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. You take care.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so that was John Dooks calling me back. He had sent me I phoned yesterday afternoon, and he was responding to the voice message. So he called me at 8 a.m. and sent me an email at 8:05 a.m. I was just about to write him an email, and then he called me back. So then I asked him if I could record the call, and he said I could record the call.